Hello, my name is Epic Bubble, and I sometimes go by the name of Simon. And what you're seeing is, well, Fantasy Flight's newest announcement from Gen Con, and this is Star Wars Legion. Now, this is a war game. This is a tabletop war game, as opposed to a lot of the other stuff, which tend to be more board games of cardboard. This is a full-blown tactical miniatures skirmish game that's supposed to be played on a tabletop with dice being rolled and movement templates. Now, this is more of a video of my thoughts on what Legion kind of promises and what it might do to the industry, but mainly because I'm a Star Wars fan and I like Star Wars. And this is a game that I don't think I'll actually get, which is kind of surprising. And there's a lot of reasons for that. I kind of want to talk through how this has kind of got here and what we actually seen. All of these images can be found on Fantasy Flight Games' website. I will have a link in the description below for you to check out the information. But for now, it's interesting. This came out almost out of nowhere. We were expecting a few other games of sorts, but first we had Rune Wars. So for those that don't know, Rune Wars is again a tactical miniature combat game, and it's Fantasy Flight Games is kind of foray into the wargaming scene. That was very much their kind of intro product to get people playing it. And the thing was, not a lot of wargamers picked it up, and that was mainly because they already had other games to play, mainly because there was Warhammer around, and there was also War Machine and a few others, and those were really popular. So Fantasy Flight kind of are trying to get into a market that is very, very competitive at the moment. It was stagnant for a long time, and this is mainly why I think we're seeing a lot of war games coming out now, especially this year. We've had Blood Bowl, I think we've had Warhammer 8th edition now coming out. So there's really been a large push to kind of revitalize the industry. And so Rune Wars came out, and that was a fancy version that had dials where you control the movement of your troops. And now we're having this, which is less... This is very much a generic war game. This is very much the roots of wargaming, where it's just dice and combat and movement, essentially. There's no funny gimmick going on here. You have cool miniatures that you're going to have to paint and put together yourselves. These are 32mm models, so they're slightly smaller than some other games that are currently in line. And this kind of leads me on, because the other games out there, well, this, I think, is Fantasy Flight's attempt to get the wargaming crowd on their side. Because already there is Star Wars X-Wing, which is a tactical miniature game set in space where you control your X-Wing and your TIE fighters and you have them dogfight each other. There is Star Wars Armada, which is, again, a tactical skirmish game set in space in the Star Wars universe, but that time you're controlling capital ships like a Star Destroyer or a Mon Calamari cruiser or a Corellian corvette. And then they have Rune Wars. And in addition to that, there's also Star Wars Imperial Assault. And I love Star Wars Imperial Assault. It's my favorite game. It takes Star Wars and turns it into a dungeon crawler where you and your party get to go through it and you'll find stormtroopers, similar to the models here, against noble heroes, again, similar to the rebels that you see in the picture. I mean, I love Star Wars Imperial Assault because it does so many things. You can have a skirmish mode. It has a skirmish mode where you can take your models in Star Wars Imperial Assault and play through them and have a skirmish map where you're trying to get objectives and you're still doing the same thing of moving your models across the board, rolling dice to see if you kind of kill your opponent. And when I say I love Star Wars Imperial Assault, well, I really, really, really like Star Wars Imperial Assault. It is a really good game. So this is why I'm like, is this the death of Star Wars Imperial Assault? Because this is all similar models. It is a skirmish of sorts on land, so it's not infringing upon the space battles that Star Wars has. Or is Imperial Assault going to go more the way of campaigns and do a lot more D&D kind of role-playing stuff and kind of leave the skirmish to this? It's a very interesting attempt at what Fantasy Flight's doing. And I'm worried that they might be straining their audience a bit too much. You see, you have the X-Wing audience, you have the Armada audience, you have the Imperial Assault audience, you have the Warhammer audience, you have the War Machine audience, you have War Gamers. is there actually room? I'm assuming what has happened is Fantasy Flight have done the market research that says Star Wars Imperial Assault needed more skirmish and they weren't happy enough with what they had, so now they're going to try and push it into a mainframe with this model. Maybe the market research said that the wargaming scene was stagnant and needed kind of revitalization. And the kind of forums and the internet have kind of said two things. People are either interested in the game, like a lot, or they're just happy to stick with what they already have. Another big thing with Fantasy Flight games is they tend to go hard at the beginning, and then they tend to soften down quite a bit. So essentially this game, you have your 32 models, I think, it's either 32 or 36 models in the base game. You have a speeder bike or 2 speeder bikes for the stormtroopers, and then you have a AT-DT walker for the rebels. And you get Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader. So you get enough, but is it actually enough? You get enough to kind of dip your feet into the water, but until we actually start seeing how much expansion content there is, this is not looking like a game I would want to pick up. It's also not looking like a game I want to pick up because I got into I got into Rune Wars. And Rune Wars, I think, is a fantastic game for being a miniatures game. Right, it's way better. It's such a good system that they have invented. The Rune Wars system of moving dials and programming your movements and trying to think like, okay, well, where is he going? Where is he going? And then you only have to roll a handful of dice, and the combat's fast and the combat's quick, and the game only takes about an hour to play, even with the 200 points cap. Whereas other war games take 3 to 4 hours, and it just is a grind. Wargaming is not something I want to be a part of. It's not a mechanic or a game space I want to enjoy. It's something I really actually don't like getting into because it just takes too long and the enjoyment's not there for me. But I can see why other people do enjoy this for the miniatures, this for the theme. And so they are trying to capitalize on the theme here. The main reason why I got Rune Wars, the miniatures game, was because I really loved that system and it did everything that I thought wargaming should do. And it did it to the best extent. But now they're releasing this, and this is by the same company, so surely they would like to promote Rune Wars more. And Rune Wars doesn't have a lot going for it at the moment. I should point out there. They have a starter kit that has 2 of the factions, and they're releasing 1 faction now at Gen Con 2017, and at the end of the year in December 2017 for the Demon Hordes. So you only have 4 factions, and all the factions don't even have all the units yet. Some of the elves are still missing some, and not the undead, the demons are still missing some of their units. And now they're bringing out this one. And it's also interesting to think how much can they really do with the system, because surely once you got your generic stormtroopers, there's not that much more to explore besides, well, snow troopers, heavy troopers, jetpack troopers. My point is, there's not a lot of variety. And I feel like this was maybe a mischance to really cover some of the Clone Wars stuff. Now, I know the prequels aren't something that a lot of people like. A lot of people vehemently hate them, mainly because of Jar Jar Binks and because the movies were frankly not actually that good. But there's no denying that there was a lot more content, a lot more ideas to float around in the Clone Wars setting. You have the clones, you have your separatists, and then you have a lot of extra factions. I mean, I remember playing Star Wars Galactic Battlegrounds, a video game, and that was basically an Age of Empires clone with a Star Wars reskin to it. And that was fantastic because you had the Trade Federation that you can be part of, you could be part of the Separatists, you could also play as the Royal Naboo, or you could have the Gungans as a faction. That was insane. I would be amazed if they could do that instead. Like if they had a droid army going up against Gungan shield generators and Gungan bombos. I think it's bombos. I hope that's the correct word. Holy crap. But I would love that so much more than just generic rebel lines for stormtroopers. And I know the original trilogy is beloved by a lot of people, but we've kind of gotten it already with Imperial Assault and X-Wing and Armada. I know people don't like the prequels, but there's so much more to explore in them. Honestly, I don't know really what to think of Star Wars Legion. I know this is supposed to be my thoughts video, but I'm having a hard time thinking why I would want to get this game. Nothing's standing out to me of it being particularly interesting. Maybe it's because I'm not a wargaming. Maybe the wargaming scene right now is exploding and all the news outlets are going wild for it. But for me, it's just, well, I'm kind of hoping they stick with Imperial Assault because that's a more fun system for me to play with. They're still sticking with Star Wars X-Wing. They just announced the next expansion for it, so that's not going away. Is there really space for this kind of game? Is there? Anyway, I am interested to hear your thoughts. Please like and subscribe if you did enjoy my ramblings. And leave a comment. I just would like to hear if you're going to be picking up this game. I'm probably not, but I would like to cover it a bit further. Anyway, thank you so much for watching.